Hey guys, and welcome once again to the channel. Today I wanted to show you, and sorry for the gloves, but I've been varnishing this miniature, how I painted this little sister of Pavel. I found her on eBay and bought her like for nothing, and she was maybe not in a bad state, but she was uncared for, and I had to strip her down a little bit from paint and then repaint her. I also gave her a little base, so if you want to see the process, let's get to it. Now this is the model itself. As you can see, she is quite okay, and probably she would even be good for priming and painting after gluing the backpack. I am never 100% sure though, if the old paint won't chip and fall off at some point. Better safe than sorry. Cleaning then. Just a small comparison before we start. A primary synthesizer, and a 3D printed model that will be part of a future video, and the sister. The next steps were drilling the gun, cleaning the metal mold lines, sanding all of the imperfections, gluing the miniature to the base, putting some skulls on, and at the end some texture paste. And this was the model after the initial prep. I will speed this up drastically cause this will only be a black primer sprayed with an airbrush. I really wanted her to have a black base with a warm tint, and therefore the chromatic blacks mix out of red and green was used to create all of the shadows. I don't know why, but I was under the impression that a small miniature will take less time to get done. I really don't know how I missed the fact that she has a shit ton of details, and all of them are so microscopic that it will be a hellish experience. Fat glazing was the technique used. What I mean by fat glazing is I watered the paint to a thick glaze consistency and used the paint without wiping the brush. If you put just a tip of the brush into the paint mixture, there will not be much of it in the brush, and it will not pool and gather in the recesses. The last highlight became my initial edge highlight at this point. After some more painting, I used some yellow paint to do the edge highlights because the red was not popping too much on the miniature. Yellow is a good color to brighten your red paints. White will make it pink. All of my painted models go through the same process over and over again. I start with an inspiration or an idea in my head. Then I start painting and adjust the effect on the fly. This was the same here. I thought that a purple cape with a pink highlight and then a white highlight glazed would look cool. Maybe that would be true if not for the pink paint. I watered the paint and left it to do something else. More or less after half an hour I came back. What could get wrong with watered paint on a covered wet palette? Pink is very often a mix of red and white, and there was a lot of white separated from the red paint. This should have been a first red flag for me. If you don't know what I mean, try glazing a paint that is heavily diluted with white. It will leave rough layers of white and look very obvious on the darker color. Glazing should be subtle and give almost non-visible layers. This was not the case. A good lesson learned. The NMM gold mixture is always the same for me. The only difference here is that I omitted the darkest brown Rhinox hide and started with the next color as the shadow base. Why not? I tried it and it gave a good effect. No complaints here. There was no reason to focus on the face, it is microscopic. Just two paints, one for the shadow, one for the highlight, and a mix of both of them in the between. Let's face it, a Sister of Battle has to have white hair. If you think differently, then you are a chaos worshipper and Order Hereticus will take care of your ass. Black for the darkest shadow and a brighter and brighter grey with the smaller highlights. The last highlight was pure white, not even an off-white. The strands of hair were modeled very nicely and I treated them as an edge highlight should be. Thick paint wiped from the brush almost fully. It took some time, but it was worth the effort. Now this is what I was talking about when there was the segment about painting the cape. The glazing gave not a good result in my opinion, and I have just taken the airbrush and started spraying blue inks. Remember that if you won't like the result, you will hate the final miniature. It is and it will always should be, in my opinion, an organic process. If you have a plan that you cling to and something doesn't run your way, you are screwed. If you are free to changes on the other hand, this will be a great lesson each time and a wonderful skill practice. What did I learn and what did I practice? I practiced airbrush control and learned about paints. After doing some minor details like the leather straps or the gun leather thingy, I went for the bolter itself. If I remember correctly, it was starting to get late, so I switched from fat glazing to wet blending. The blending itself is very nice but needs some smoothing with glazing at the end. Now just the base, some edge highlights, working on a few omitted details, a few edge highlights once again, and the eagle has landed.
Give it to me like.
And this is the finished model. It was a very hard project because she's so small. It definitely is not true that if our model is smaller, it will take less time to paint it. Nevertheless, I am very happy with the final result. So what do you guys think? Leave a comment, I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to share, like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.